What would happen if you were in the middle of a fight and you were smashed in the face by a headbutt? You, as a trained martial artist, could perhaps be caught off guard that someone would have the wherewithal to land the blow correctly. He corrals your hands and smashes the crown of his head into your nose, disorienting you. This would likely give your opponent the upper hand. You could be shocked or even wobbled just as you would from any other punch. The headbutt is a game changer. While illegal in contemporary mixed martial arts, there are several sports that still allow for the headbutt, namely Lethwei, but sports such as combat sambo, kudo, and Muay Boran incorporate headbutts into their respective art. It fundamentally changes how these sports are structured and, if added to other sports without the headbutt, would change massive areas of how they are fought. If you couldn't guess, today's topic will be on the headbutt, and we will be looking at 3 examples of how it is used both on the ground and standing from several different forms of martial arts. Headbutting while standing is no easy task, but as a neutralizing force, the technique can be set up and devastating and change a fight to the most extreme. We will take a look at a headbutt from a Lethwei bout in Myanmar. As our Burmese fighter and the opponent enter the final exchange, both set their feet and look to exchange. Blue shorts will jab, and our Lethwei fighter will grab the jabbing hand. This is made possible especially with the no-gloves nature of the sport. As he moves his hand out of the way, creating a path for the headbutt, he braces on the elbow to go 2-on-1 with the lead hand. Next, he will drag the hand down and change his levels, just as Dave LeDuc describes. Finally, with the hand down and controlled, our Burmese fighter fires the headbutt down the pipe and puts blue shorts out cold. This type of control is necessary for an effective headbutt. When you are committing to offense, every punch you throw sacrifices something defensively. Here, both of the Burmese fighter's hands are on his right side, controlling blue short's lead arm. This leaves his left side, the power side of the opponent, open. That is why this technique must be done quickly and fluidly. Failure to do so will lead to a counter that can hurt or finish an opponent. If you're looking at a headbutt on the ground, there's no better example than the former UFC champion Mark Coleman. He was around in the true no-holds-barred UFC days and smashed his head through the skull of anyone that dared play guard with him. It led him to wins over Gary Goodridge, Don Fry, Dan Severn, Igor Vovchanchin, and Shogun Rua. Mark Coleman was a killer. Looking at Coleman's headbutts on the ground, specifically in his fight with Goodridge in 1996 at UFC 10, we can see the created space that is necessary for a headbutt to land on the ground. In the guard, Mark Coleman is being locked down. Gary Goodridge would make the mistake and look to bridge out to make something happen. In these situations, Gary Goodridge is the one that needs to move, especially in modern mixed martial arts rules where the top fighter is winning. As Goodridge bridges up, Mark Coleman sees the space created and smashes his forehead into Goodridge. Coleman used the headbutt very effectively. Early UFC was dominated by jiu-jitsu, and it made sense. Royce Gracie took the world by storm when he won the first UFC, beating Art Jemerson, Ken Shamrock, and Gerard Gordeau to put the little-known sport on the map. Incidentally, Gracie used the headbutt at UFC 1 as well. The sport, as young as it was both racing to learn jiu-jitsu and wrestlers learning how to counter it. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu were seemingly from the same block. Both were on the ground and could drown people. Wrestling felt like it needed to find a way to make the field even. The headbutt was one of those early innovations, though it died out soon when the unified rules took the strike out for a safer, more appealing strike to the masses. Our final example will come from King of the Streets, the most brutal contemporary martial arts promotion. They're based out of Poland and is a true no-holds-barred style of fighting. Our example will come from a guy by the name of Cocainecharli. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the headbutt in this promotion, I don't know what will. We start the clip with Cocainecharli being cornered and elbows being thrown at his head. He needs to get his opponent off of him and get away from the cage so he can execute his technique. What he does is he will take a step back and he will throw the push kick to knock his opponent literally backwards to create more space. This gives him room to breathe. As the two step in away from the cage, Cocainecharli grabs onto the arms, both sides, unlike our Myanmar fighter from earlier, and fires the headbutt right up the middle, knocking down his opponent. At the end of the day, the headbutt has gone from a devastating showstopper to little more than a technique used in niche sports. Sure, Sambo, Kyokushin, and the likes are well-known sports, but to appeal to the masses like MMA and boxing, a headbutt is just a little bit too much to stomach. But the past has shown us that when they are allowed, they are game changers. The headbutt fundamentally changes close quarters combat. Lethwei and grappling show us just that. In the clinch or in the guard, we know that adding or removing a headbutt makes or breaks what goes down in those positions. Finally, the headbutt is still useful. Though not used in common sports anymore, Boss Rutan tells us that the headbutt can not only cause damage, but can de-escalate a situation before it becomes too violent, ironic as that may seem. The headbutt is a technique not likely to be studied much more unless a massive perception shift occurs either around the unified rules of MMA or the popularity of Lethwei to become a bigger sport in the West. Until then, it will be an opportunistic strike that is allowed in these lesser known sports that will occasionally pop up and go viral of the perceived novelty of the strike. In reality, it's an incredibly effective blow, perhaps the greatest equalizer.